In this episode, I talk about what it means to me to make choices about where to put my time and energy, and really trying to feel into those choices, as well as think logically about pros and cons, so I can open space in my life for doing what matters most to me. Welcome to episode 120. Because it's one of those 10th episodes, I do a reflection related to the things I talk about on this podcast with others. But rather than having a guest today, it's just me taking a moment to think about what's going on and what I can share that might be helpful, hopefully, in terms of the kinds of themes we explore here. And so I'd actually come up with the idea a little while ago about having an episode related to asking why and asking why not when you're deciding whether to do something. Because at some point, I made some kind of flippant comment about how, why do we ask ourselves why? Why shouldn't we just ask ourselves why not? Or at least why I shouldn't just ask myself why not when an opportunity presents itself. Because otherwise, doubts might stop you or fear might stop you. So instead, just say, why not? I'll do it. I'll just run with whatever it is that's presented itself to me. And I kind of used that approach really a couple of years ago now when I went to do two different kinds of photography sessions, one with Jeremiah and one with Scott. And I've spoken to each of them about that experience in terms of trying to overcome something that I felt was stopping me, obstacles that might be stopping me. And so to overcome those, I thought the best thing was just to ask myself, well, why not just jump in and do it? But last weekend, in particularly this past weekend, I really hit a wall. I really got to the point where I was almost dysfunctional. I wasn't really capable of thinking or doing much at all. And that experience has given me a different perspective, I think, on this why not question. And I realized I haven't actually really been asking myself why not. I just was not making decision. I thought I was maybe just following my gut or following my instinct. But whatever it was, I really wasn't putting deep thought into important choices. And not just deep thought, but not deep contemplation either. I didn't have a real deep awareness of what I was feeling about what I was choosing to do. And so I was thinking about it last night, and so I just wrote this down. I felt I've been jumping from lily pad to lily pad. And so, if I look back over the course of my life, I think maybe that was kind of an antidote to at least a couple of decades of following a very straight and narrow path, doing the sort of same narrow range of things, as opposed to maybe giving myself the opportunity to explore the broader range of things that really maybe interested or excited me. I kept myself on a pretty tight leash. And so somehow, and it kind of started as I started this podcast, I just kind of exploded into doing, this, and then I would do that, and then I'd add on this other thing, and then I would do a little more of that. And I feel like I run around now mostly like just patching holes in a very leaky boat while I'm trying to fish at the same time and also surf probably and play bass and maybe read a book or two while I'm boiling a couple of eggs and burning some toast as I rush off to a spin class. I mean, it's untenably ridiculous. It's overwhelming. And so I really had to stop and think, I should say, just stop and think and feel what it means not to ask why, and also not to ask why not in a more serious way as opposed to a superficial kind of way. Because every time I just say why not in some casual way, I'm losing something else, because my time and my energy are finite. And I know that's obvious, except honestly, I think in my day-to-day, I do still forget that. There's limited time, limited resources. I have limited energy at this point. I mean, I always have, but I think as I get a little bit older, I'm confronting it more seriously now. And so I haven't drawn in a year or more. I haven't drawn anything. I hardly ever take photographs anymore. And those are things that those past couple of decades I referred to earlier, I wasn't doing that then either, because I didn't allow myself to. I was too strict in what I thought I should be spending my time doing. And so then I flip-flop to the other side. I go to the why nots. I start drawing. Again, I start taking more photographs, but then I start saying yes to a whole bunch of other things, and I lost those things again. So I need to make a commitment, I think, to myself to try to make proper decisions in terms of both the why I might take something on, and also the why not I might and also why I might not take that thing on. And that's more than just making a list of pros and cons, right? And thinking through it. It also means feeling through it. And I think I really haven't done a great job of that in terms of what emotions come up for me when I consider yes to do something or no not to do it. Where does it come up in my body? And what does that feel like? And I've only just started sort of learning, letting myself. I mean, obviously I think we all naturally do know how to do that, but allowing myself to feel those things. And it came up really strongly this weekend that I felt really strongly in my body that I was not in a good place. Not to be dramatic about it, but it's just when you're not in a good place, you know it. Your body knows it. And it's not just a question of your mind realizing it, but your whole being kind of knows that there's something wrong. And if I look at myself, there's probably a few different reasons why I'm not making art, particularly drawing or particularly taking pictures. I do try to live a creative life. And there are lots of ways to do that, but it actually does make me feel sad that I don't draw. It kind of does ache a bit. There's an emptiness there that I do feel like I'm missing something. And so it's like that difference between, I might consider saying why to something because I get that fluttery feeling. I get kind of excited about something, and I'm attracted to doing it. I can feel it, in addition to whatever list of things I might write down in my pros column. And then on the other side, even if I've written a lot of things in the pros column, if I get that kind of like scrunchy chest feeling, like somebody's got their hand in there and they're like crunching you in your chest, not a good feeling. It's a pretty compelling reason to say no to something, even if there are more pros written in the list than there are cons. So not to belabor it, but I think I just never really get around saying that. Awareness of what's driving you towards something and what actually might be pulling you away from something takes a whole kind of being awareness of one's being. And part of it is definitely in your head, but part of it is also in your heart. And I think if I try to do a better job of listening to both, because I really wasn't doing either, to be honest, if I do a better job of listening to both, then maybe it's more likely that I will make choices that are more affirming and more that feel better to me. So that's what I've experienced. And I don't know if you can relate to that. If there are things that you say yes to that mean then that you don't do the things that you more deeply would say yes to, but you don't have the time or the energy to devote to them. And so maybe it's worth just really taking a moment to reflect on what you have active in your life and go through a kind of process of considering what are the reasons for and what are the reasons against, just sort of logically, rationally speaking, but also in terms of where you feel in your body that it feels like something compelling to do, or it feels on some level like it's not the right thing to do. And then maybe we can all open up a bit more space in our lives to really pursue the things that make us feel the best. So, thoughts for today. I'd love, as always, to know what you think. Thank you, as always, for listening. I appreciate it.